Okay, we are recording. Welcome, everyone. I'm Tia. I use she and her pronouns. I'm a member of the Community Democracy Project. And today at our Community Conversation Hour, we have Charles Reed, who will be presenting about the Emerald New Deal. And we're also going to talk about how we think we should spend Oakland's cannabis tax revenue. And I'm just going to let you introduce yourself before I go into the CDP 101, because I know you wanted to share that you were injured, Charles.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charles Reed. I'm a campaign organizer for Oakland's Emerald New Deal. And if you miss my headshot or you see some naked shoulders, it's because I was injured in an accident and I didn't get a chance to put a shirt on before I came to do this presentation. So, please forgive me.
I ensured Charles that CDP supporters would totally understand, and also hope that you're not cold, Charles. But yeah, let me just dive into the CDP 101 real quick. We are an all-volunteer campaign, and we've been in existence since 2011. We were born during one of Occupy Oakland's neighborhood assemblies. And we only work on one campaign, or we focus on one campaign, and that is to bring participatory budgeting to Oakland, because we want to turn the power structure right side up by putting the people of Oakland in charge of the entire city budget. The entire Oakland city budget would be, if we get what we want, would be decided by the people of Oakland at neighborhood assemblies, where we get to meet in person or on Zoom if COVID never ends, where we get to meet face to face and talk about what we want to prioritize and what we want to deprioritize. Let me think, what else do we want to say? I think that's it. Oh, so we have tried to gather signatures for this ballot initiative, which is a little bit harder than other ballot initiatives because this is a city charter amendment. We're basically changing the Constitution of Oakland, which requires a higher threshold of signatures, about 40 to 50,000 signatures. And the last time we tried in 2019, we almost made it with mostly volunteers and donations that we funneled through to some signature gatherers that couldn't donate their time, but we're really good at gathering, so we paid them to gather. But most of our signatures are from volunteers. And we're going to launch again in March, hopefully. And we all believe that we're actually gonna make it this time, at least make it on the ballot. And this will start a conversation between all of us in Oakland to try to figure out if this is something we want. And if it passes, then it's going to be a game changer. And if it doesn't, then we'll try again, like many other ballot initiatives do. So that is what the Community Democracy Project does. And in between each campaign, it's a 6-month-long campaign where they make you gather enough signatures in 6 months. In between those campaigns, we organize and try to recruit volunteers and just get the word out to make sure that when we do gather signatures, people aren't completely surprised by what we're talking about. And so we host these community conversation hours and talk about many different things. Sometimes we just do peer counseling. Sometimes we have sci-fi book clubs. Sometimes we have guest speakers like we do today, and I'm excited to introduce Charles Reed from the Emerald New Deal. I'm just going to kick it off to you and put you on the spotlight so that you're the person everybody's looking at while Molly shares screen. Okay.
Right. Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be here for everyone. The Emerald New Deal is something that I felt like you guys would be very interested in. I felt like the fact that you were a tax initiative based group trying to get the people to set the precedent on where their tax money goes is novel, and it sounds to me just so Oakland. because that's what we're about. Oakland is a revolutionary city, and we should have revolutionary policies to reflect that. And knowing that you did it with volunteers, that you almost got 50,000 signatures with volunteers, we need y'all on our campaign. So,
Thank you.
so that I might even be trying to get y'all just to come work on our campaign after this. So I do have two colleagues with me. One is Jamia, and the other is Molly, and they might chime in from time to time during this presentation. All right, so Oakland's Emerald New Deal to restore our communities is it's a homegrown tax initiative that reflects the thinking and other people, the needs of the people. And we feel that the marijuana tax law is the perfect example of monies that should be allocated to the people and for the people. So we want to explain to you why we need the end, what it will do for the community, and how we will win. Go ahead, Molly. We know that the drug war criminalized people of color. And these are some of the statistics that prove the disparity in how the law actually works. And we will follow up with other ones. But if you look at 2015, 77% of the cannabis, no, go back, Molly. Yeah, 77% of the cannabis charges were Black people. Only 30% of Oakland's population is Black. I point that out to show the disparity in how the law is dispensed. Okay, Molly. This is a time lapse of the marijuana-related arrests from 1995 to 2015. These places that you see on the dots that you see are primarily East and West Oakland. There are no dots above or in the hills because they don't arrest the people in the hills. But we know that's where most of the Caucasian persuasion lives. Okay, can we go to the next one, Molly? So the fallout from the war on drugs included laws that were enacted specifically based on drug complaints or arrests, and the nuisance abatement evictions. As you can see, 164 households were evicted from Oakland 2004, 2019, based on just nuisance abatement evictions. But the anti-loitering law specifically was related to the anti-loitering law was specifically related to Section 8 housing. And they kept no records, or we have not been able to find the statistics that will point out how many people were evicted based on complaints and based on arrests for the anti-loitering law, which I do believe would trump the nuisance abatement evictions by 3 or 4 times. And then, of course, we have the civil asset forfeiture law, where in 1984 alone, 179 million in assets were collected. And then we look at 2019, Oakland reported 44 asset forfeitures that totaled close to 1 million. 204,000 went to the general fund to fund policing. And can we go to the next one, please, Molly? And so, as I said before, the Emerald New Deal is a community-based initiative to equitably reinvest in communities of color who have been most impacted by the war on drugs. We hope to get this on the 22 ballot in November. And ready for the election in November. And we would like to see this placed in a restricted fund so that it becomes a line item in the budget. All right, thank you, Molly. So the Emerald New Deal's key provisions would be to repurpose Oakland's cannabis tax revenues to deal with the harm caused by the war on drugs. We would like to see that done through being invested in reentry support services. I personally served 31 years in prison. I came home in 2017, and my city wasn't the same. My city was full of hopeless, homeless individuals, and that's not the city that I had left. And so I threw myself into this. 30% of the homeless population comes directly from the reentry community. So I would love to see support services that include helping them to use cell phones when they come home, helping them to use computers, and how to sign up and with social services and different organizations that could possibly help them. I would like to see that money go into community economic development. Well, let me stop saying we would like to see that. I think I already, the mental health, housing access, economic self-sufficiency, and youth services are all things that the community has said that they would like to see this money invested in. So the Emerald New Deal would create a planning and oversight committee appointed by City Council. The current CRC, Cannabis Regulatory Commission, is not a mirror of the impacted communities. So we would like to see at least 5 members from impacted communities. And when I say that, I mean whether they be people who were arrested, served time, or members of or lived in the neighborhoods of these impacted communities. There would have to be 5 of those people on the council, and they would be in charge and these would be paid positions. And they would be in charge of making sure that the community's voices were heard and the money is redirected in the way that the community has recommended. And the proposed allocation of the Emerald New Deal Fund, 15% for administrative and support of the Planning and Oversight Committee, up to 35% dedicated to city-run programs and services informed by the spirit of the ordinance, and 50% to a community fund to support programs and projects aligned with the intent of EN. Thank you, Molly. Examples of programs fundable by EN would be the existing Homecoming project that actually helps formerly incarcerated people find jobs, address their health problems, learn new skill set. Hard skills need to be a part of this initiative, because the hard skills would allow them to have livable wage jobs and not just service sector jobs. The Equity Assistance Program for the city of Oakland needs to be readdressed and needs to be refunded and refurbished in a way where the people who have been hurt the most are profiting the most, so that they are the ones who are able to get into the business, which they are still right now today unable to do so, because the taxes and the entry level into becoming a dispensary owner is so high that members of the Black and brown community, who I'm just gonna be honest with y'all, who had the best weed, aren't even able to make the most of their product because they're not allowed into the industry. And the Emerald New Deal can make local entrepreneurship more realistic with consistent and predictable funding of the program. That means a sustained economic portal of opportunity for people of color. Okay, thank you, Molly. So examples of other programs fundable by EN. So we do know that the Reimagining Public Safety Task Force had close to 100 recommendations. I do believe less than 10 were funded by the city. So to me, it seemed like that was just a dog and pony show, where they were just making it look good to make you think they were going to do something, but they really didn't. How can you have less than 10 of the recommendations funded by the city when the city is supposedly asked the community to tell them what they want? And so one of the things we would like to see is to build a restorative justice web of support for adults and youth, to provide more comprehensive reentry support, and to expand restorative justice diversion for youth and young adults so that their name never enters into the system. Once we know that once you become a member of the system, you belong to the system. And we'd like to see it increase investments in substance abuse and mental health services, which would expand and fund existing harm reduction services and provide enhanced public and mental health access to underserved communities. The city council approved $6.2 million for macro in the latest budget. Funding could increase this further, so it's supported as it scales up. Thank you, Molly. And if you want to know what we do community organizing much like you do. Except I think y'all might be a little bit more effective because you've been around longer. Because if y'all can get a volunteer crew to get close to 50,000 signatures, we need y'all. So we knocked on thousands of doors in districts 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7 before COVID hit and since COVID hit. Actually, COVID made us change our direction. We had to go through mostly social media and Zoom meetings because people weren't willing to open their doors, and we wanted to practice safe COVID-19 methods. But we were in all of these districts doing our work in Oakland. So everything that we have that points to our recommendations by community members has come from all over Oakland, not just East Oakland, not just West Oakland. I mean, when we actually did our work recently in the Oakland Hills, and we got a 70% support rate on the doors that we knocked on that people answered. So 7 out of the 10 people that we talked to, even in the Oakland Hills, supported this measure. We've gathered over 1,500 signatures from Oakland residents, and we've identified 140 key resident leaders that we actually hope to bring on as volunteers. All right, Molly, next one, please. And these are our endorsements so far. Shang Tao from the City Council, Lauren Taylor, City Council, Noel Gallo, City Council. We need 5 endorsements for success. And since we already have 3, we only need 2. But we want to have all. We are working to make this a not just a quorum, but we want to knock this out the park with all 8 saying yes. And as you can see from our community members, Dr. Noha Abaleta from Roots, Cynthia Arrington from SPRAC, the Resident Action Council. We have Marquita Price from East Oakland Collective. We have Mark Williams, Board of Directors, AC Transit. One of the names should have been on here is Nate. Oh, there it is, Nate Miley, Alameda County Board of Supervisors. Okay, can we slide to the next one? And these are the list of organizations that have supported us so far. And so if you look, if you want to look at who we've spoken to and what kind of momentum we have, you can see that we have great momentum, tremendous momentum. And so as you look at this, I hope that you look at your organization also, because while you're out there pounding the pavement, man, we would love for you to be saying something about the Emerald New Deal at the same time. You know, I don't know how you guys work, but we're gonna find out, because I like y'all. And so as you look at the different organizations we have supporting us, you can see that this is not just a community of color issue. This is a people issue, and the people care about this issue. And so this is how many organizations we have right now, but we're going to need twice this in order to make this a successful measure. And so that's why we're here today, to see how we can work together, you know, to help each other reach their mutual goals. All right, and go ahead. And so we actually have our strategy, which is a recognition of what voter turnout has been, and so that we know what we can expect. We need 66.67% of the votes to be yes in support of the Emerald New Deal. So we have our likely to vote in November 2022, and this is based on past elections. And we've broken it down into the actual districts that gets the most that votes. And as you can see, districts 5 and 7 are the most underrepresented. Those are, matter of fact, let me go ahead and throw District 6 in there too, because these are basically and mainly the communities of color that are not getting out to vote because they don't believe that their vote matters. And so these are where most of our unlikely voters will come from. And so as you can see, we also had an age breakdown. So our key strategy is to look at the less likely voters. I've personally been tasked with getting 1,000 new reentry community members registered to vote, but not only registered, actively motivated to come out to vote, because it doesn't make any difference just to register. We have to make sure they come out. It's broken down, our less likely voters are broken down into the age ranges that we need. We need more youth to recognize that this is their city and that this is their future, and they have to become active and participatory in making it what they want it to be. It doesn't have to be what it is now. They had the power to help change it. And that's one of the messages we want to get to our youth, that in order to make the future yours, you have to claim it. And that means being a part of it. And then, of course, we have the elements to a winning strategy for 66.667%. The register and turn out first-time voters. Of course, I just mentioned the 1,000 reentry community members. To establish partnerships with local organizations such as All of Us or None, Urban Peace Movement, Initiate Justice and Courage. Two of the leading organizations in getting the vote back, or getting the vote for reentry community members, were All of Us or None and Initiate Justice. And so we would really like to make them part of the leadership in making this happen, because this would directly impact and affect the work that they're doing and the people that they're fighting for. And so we want to turn out 8,000 less likely voters. And we believe that by turning out 8,000 less likely voters, we'll be guaranteed to win this thing by enough of a margin that the cannabis industry will be shaking their heads and their knees in fear. And next one. And so how can you support the Emerald New Deal? First of all, we're looking for not only your organizational endorsement, but your individual endorsements. The more support we get, the better, the more powerful we are. Of course, I recognize that you are primarily made up of a team of volunteers, but to volunteer, and maybe you can help us learn how to pull more volunteers. Cause I ain't gonna lie, that almost 50,000 signatures, it sure impressed me. And so voter registration of the reentry community would help us, is going to help us. And of course, you can donate. And donating money, time, your knowledge, your support, whatever it is that you can donate. I don't care if it's 2 pennies, kick it in. And let's go with the questions now.
That was amazing. Thank you. I'm just going to, anyone who wants to ask a question, you can raise your hand and I'll spotlight you so you could be in the video. Questions or comments? I took some notes. Let me just look. Kyle.
Hey, you don't have to spotlight me.
Okay.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, stop hiding, Kyle.
I woke up at like 4 a.m. today, so I'm really
It's
tired.
all
I was
good.
hiding.
It's all good.
I was wondering, I might have missed it, but is your strategy to get on the ballot, is it to get the endorsements from city council so that city council puts it on the ballot? Or are you gathering signatures like us? Because November 2022 is soon, you know.
We are actually working with the city council, and I think I highlighted that we had 3 that were in support, and that 2 more would push us over the number that we need. And so that's where we are right now. That's where we're working at right now. And I would like to say to everybody that my colleague Molly has put into the chat the way that you can either endorse us, support us, volunteer, or donate. Is there another question, Cal?
I had a bunch written down, but I'll let other people go first if there's others.
We can add to that a little bit too, that we're eyeing, like, we want this to be on the city council to vote by April. And that they'll vote to place it on the ballot for November.
Oh, thanks for that, filling that in, Molly.
Yeah, that question comes up a lot. And so when we say we gathered 1,500 signatures, that was really like the time we spent knocking on doors, talking to people to get their ideas about the initiative and get them as volunteers. Now we have like 30 volunteers that are actively engaged. So the signatures was sort of like an excuse, you know, to like get their contact information, be able to call them. But it's not, we get this question a lot. We're not trying to put up the signatures, put it on the ballot. We're also using the signatures we gathered to get leverage with city council members so they see the robust support for this.
I see what Kyle was thinking. Kyle was like, y'all already got 1,500? It should be easy to get the rest of the 5,000 you need, or the 10,000 we would need. No, Kyle, this is gonna take a lot of work right here.
Yeah, I was imagining being out there, people's budget on one side of the clipboard and Emerald New Deal on the other side of the clipboard. So you're going city council route, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you said that, because I think that our interests are the same. If we can't get everything at once, if we took a small step and you know, we got this budget to become our budget, then that would be a way of reaching this and this goal.
I think sometimes it's easier to work with the people than work with the city officials and the politicians, you know.
It's the reason Oakland is the only city in America to have lost lost the same football team twice.
No.
Emily's hand is up. Spotlight, you can.
I do not need to be in the spotlight.
Yeah,
thank you.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to. Devo mentioned in the chat your approach to the get out the vote, and that was similar to what I was going to bring up. Have you all done a get out the vote campaign before, and or how did you come to this like how did you develop your strategy? Because I find that super impressive.
So I'm glad that you're impressed, because we strive to impress. But our team, this has been a team effort developing this strategy. Because of COVID-19, you know that we've had to change up, and we've had to we've had to react to circumstances out of our control. But you know, when you can take circumstances out of your control and bend them to your will, that gives you that gives you a whole lot of personal power in what you're doing. And so our team met on a regular basis to decide what was the best strategy for us to keep building the momentum that we're building, and in order to make this campaign a success. And so Molly was a part of it. Jamia was a part of it. I call her G. G was a part of it. Our former colleague, Isaiah Tony, was a part of it. And our director, Francis Calpatura. And so, you know, one of the things he's allowed us to do is give our opinions and adopt them when necessary to help the campaign stay strong and on course.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes. Come on, Jasmine, I know you got something to say. Maybe not. But I know Devo does.
Devo has been pretty active in the chat. Do you want to unmute yourself, Devo?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm just really impressed with everything that you've already done. Yeah, I'm really tired, so I have like a lot of questions, but none of them are coming out fully formed. So I'm appreciating what other people are asking. I hope Kyle can ask some more of those questions.
Well, just
yeah, I'm excited. I was like, when can I sign this? But I don't have to, so good.
Well, your personal endorsement is welcomed also. While we are looking for your organizational endorsement, the personal endorsements mean just as much to us and the campaign. Molly just put into the chat our contact information. And so when you do figure out them questions, you can reach out to any of us and we'll respond.
And Jasmine just put in the chat that she's in a noisy area, but she really appreciates this discussion, so she didn't want to unmute herself.
Oh, it's okay. I see some hearts and stuff popping up, so I know we got some love.
Emily, with your hand raised.
I had another quick question. One of the first things you said, Charles, was Oakland is a revolutionary city and we need revolutionary policies. And I loved it so much, I wrote it down. My question is, can I quote you on that in our social media?
Of course you can.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I heard I was good for a good quote now and then.
Yeah, I believe it.
That is a good one. Thank you for asking, Emily.
Yeah, I appreciate that also.
One thing I wanted to note was that part of your strategy is getting out the vote for unlikely voters, and some of those unlikely voters are young folks. And one thing I forgot to mention is that if our petition passes, then any 16-year-old who comes to neighborhood assemblies can also vote on the city budget. So it's 16 and up, and undocumented folks too can come to a neighborhood assembly. So that would change up the whole culture around voting. Like we know from studies that if you start them young, they'll be more likely to vote when they're 18 and 20 and 40. So we're excited. I'm excited about that part.
Oh, we all are. I actually voted for the first time for the assembly, and I was 57.
Never too late.
Yeah. So you know, I want them at 17 and 18. I mean, because and really, I don't see why they had that age restriction on voting anyway, because it's going to be their world, not ours.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like to ask a question of you guys. since you've been so effective at getting signatures, and how have you guys engaged with young people in your campaign?
Who would like to answer that one? I'm looking at Kyle because Kyle was the one who was leading our paid signature gather parts, and most of the young people were paid.
Well, that's one thing we learned also, that young people don't like volunteering for nothing.
But what did happen was those paid signature gatherers eventually became, some of them eventually became members. And to be a member, you kind of just have to volunteer because we don't pay our members. So it was just to get them in the door. It was like a summer job for them.
Okay. But you want to go ahead, Kyle?
Sure, I'm trying to remember back. Let's see, 2019, yeah, we were trying to recruit people to gather signatures. And we found a few like 18, 19-year-olds who were just super down. You know, we would meet with them, they'd say, hey, you know, I'm looking for a summer job. I'm interested in politics, but I don't really know what to do. Maybe their parents were involved in politics, or they're just really reading the news or whatever, I don't know. And I think part of it was because our initiative has that like 16 and older. They're like, oh, I wish I could have been involved for the last 2 years, you know, so it really stuck. I guess really being able to just build the excitement of like, oh, you know, I have all these ideas, and the people's budget actually puts those ideas into practice. Because, you know, a lot of younger folks are idealists, maybe, I don't know. So having like a platform that aligns with those ideals and being like, we have a path to get there. Like, we need you to help us gather signatures. And also we'll pay you, you know, helps, you know, you'll have some spending money and stuff. I think we got kind of lucky to some extent, because, you know, they'd have friends, you know, they're like, oh, I'm 18. Like, I got some other friends who just graduated high school. They're down too. Like, you should meet. And sometimes it doesn't work out too well, but a lot of them, it did work out really well. And so they're excited because they're like being able to put what they've been thinking about into practice. They're getting some money, you know. They're able to just go like around their neighborhood, go to the grocery store, like talk to people they know, get signatures. Yeah, I wish I had like a magic formula, I guess, but I think everything just lined up really nice. We like got lucky meeting a few like young folks who were just really excited, and being able to like immediately channel that into like, you know, you can make an impact now, and it'll help, you know, your younger brother when your younger brother or younger sister is 16, like, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
see
if that
Dino's hand is up, and Devo is a educator, so maybe there'll be a few more techniques. Thank you for sharing, Kyle.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. I was just gonna add some just like other than conversational techniques, some stuff that we do that draw people where we meet youth. We have like these community conversation hours. We used to have them in person and invite people. A number of our supporters are teachers. So we know a lot, we've known a few teachers who reach out to kids and like youth that they know and let them know to invite them to things like our community conversation hours and budget assemblies. We've also occasionally given talks at schools. I don't know, or we've talked sometimes we were invited to go develop or do some, sorry, I'm not articulate at all, I'm so tired.
Oh, it's okay.
But yeah, forming relationships with teachers and schools is a really good way, because you can give a talk at a school after school hours and invite students. I teach community college, so there's a lot of opportunities to talk to young people. And it's a really exciting, 18, 19-year-olds are a really exciting group to work with, because they, like Kyle said, they have a lot of hope. Even if they've had bad experiences, I think many of them are still like alive with hope, which is one of the hardest things as we get older with volunteering and working on political campaigns, because the more that we do, the harder it is to keep going when we see various things that happen to them. So it's really, I think it's really inspiring for us, and it's awesome to work with young people. But yeah, we also meet a lot of people. Just to clarify, we do a lot of street outreach where we go to different neighborhoods and we hang out in parks and we used to go door to door more. And we also gather signatures at grocery stores and festivals. So we meet a lot of people just throughout the course of our organizing work, and we pick up people here and there. And a lot of times if we are noticing that somebody's really excited, we'll just take the time to try to draw them in. And that's one way that we've met some of the youth that we've worked with as well.
Well, how excited are you guys about the Emerald New Deal? You know, because I cherry picked too. You know,
I'm super excited.
and you know, we can use all the support that we can get. And like I said, I honestly do believe that we are both, we have mutual interests in each other's campaigns, because it's about people developing the policies that are going to guide their lives. And it should be the people who spending the money that come out their pocket every paycheck. Why should it be a politician that determines where our money going when, you know, it's our damn money and they won't listen to us? And so I really do love what y'all campaign is about, because it makes complete sense that people should be in charge of where the money is spent, since it's coming out their pockets. And so any of you that have an idea about how we could push each other's campaigns at the same time, we would appreciate hearing it. And I don't want to take up all the time when I have two colleagues online also that have some opinions. Whichever one of my two colleagues want to talk.
I think there's nothing left to say other than just ask for you guys' support. And there are different ways that you guys can support. First, you know, give us access to your community and your support system, so that we can also, you know, introduce the Emerald New Deal for them and get their support. We have a meeting with the Cannabis Regulatory Commission this coming Thursday, and we need voices out there in the form of making like public comments during the meeting, because we're going to present to them for the second time, and we're trying to also get their support, because
third time.
they kind of represent right now kind of like the industry, the cannabis industry, not the people, you know. So yeah, these are some of the forms that you guys can support us. And we also need access to some of the cannabis equity program participants. If you know any new network, you know, of the cannabis industry businesses in the city of Oakland, we would love to get some introductions as well, especially the cannabis equity program, because they can vouch for, you know, how this fund can support this program, as it is not doing good right now with current, you know, funding opportunities, and also like the regulations and the policies of the Cannabis Regulatory Commission. There was a question at the beginning about how do we came with this strategy. I think I can just talk a little bit about that. First of all, we all come from an organizing background. You know, our organization is like all about organizing and mobilizing people for different causes. And we know that like collecting signatures will help build a base, and we can recruit organizers and volunteers and leaders from there. But also the way that the Measure Z or the cannabis ordinance came into being, it came through signatures and it was voted on, you know. So I think the right way was to go through the city council members to put it back on the ballot, rather than going the signature route. And also that's like a long route it requires a lot of money and a lot of resources. And also the way that the original ordinance was voted on required us to kind of go to the city council members and get their vote to put it on the ballot rather than getting the signatures. I think that's about it. I mean, if you have any information, any connections, introductions you want to make, reach out to me, Molly, Charles, any one of us. Would be happy to follow through with that. And we really appreciate the opportunity to come today and present to you. And we know that you're an ally, so it's not, yeah. Thank you.
But we are seeking the organizational endorsement.
Of course.
Because I do believe, like I said, that we have mutual interests and we should be showing a unified level of support when it comes to people power dictating policy.
Absolutely. And it's going to serve us big if we put your name as one of the supporters of or the endorsers of the initiative. So
yeah, anybody get 50,000 signatures or even close to it, that name carry weight. They better listen.
Amen.
We'd love to get your endorsement too. We're a democratically run organization, so we have to bring it back to our membership and ask everyone to vote on it. But I can do that because I'm passionate enough. And what I would argue to CDP is that the things that y'all want funded are the same things that the people we've talked to when we do outreach, they want the same things to be funded. We have a survey on an app. If someone wants to put that in the chat, Kyle made an app where you can kind of vote on how much money you would want to give to the police, how much money you want to give to the fire department or to mental health services. And that's, the people definitely want to defund the police and fund community services. And I didn't see anything about defunding the police in your points, but just by funding the community services that you want, I could tell that our priorities are at least aligned. So I will, propose to CDP that we endorse y'all. And how do we get your endorsement?
We talk to our director when we have our team meeting and let them know what you guys said, what you guys asked for, and that we support your principles. I definitely support, your motivation, your ability to motivate and get signatures and stuff. I'm blown away by that, especially by all volunteers. I know you might pay some young people, but it ain't like you got 1,000 young people out there gathering signatures. And so that's one of the things we'll do. And I did want to allow Molly to speak to you directly because Molly works on our Sugar Freedom campaign, our Sugar Freedom Project. And, and it's the soda tax, and so there's my Molly.
Yeah, just real quickly, we have a team of community organizers that are from the neighborhoods with the highest health disparities, the most predatory marketing by soda industries, and the least investment from the city historically and right now. And they had a campaign last spring, residents along with organizations that are working in the food space, asking the city to allocate 60% of the soda tax directly to working on structural issues that would, turn food apartheid neighborhoods into healthy food ecosystems over time. And the city, we actually ended up winning 500,000 a year or 1 million, which is, not a lot, but it's not nothing. So would like to connect with you all in the future about that. Because we're going to keep doing it again in this mid-budget cycle because we want to popularize the message that the city has a responsibility to its residents to make sure that healthy food is affordable and accessible everywhere. The city likes to shelve that on the county because the county is among the public health department. and, potentially explore putting the soda tax back on the ballot as a restricted fund, which is, we're learning that in real time with Emerald New Deal, what it takes to win a restricted ballot initiative. I also just want to point out back to Emerald New Deal that I just put into the chat a link that would take you to a landing page where you would just have to click on a city council member's name, and then it opens up your email inbox with an email ready to go to, say, Nikki Bass, and you can personalize it and then hit send. You can change it up, but it has some information prepared in there, and that would be really helpful for you all to do. If people can't attend the CRC meeting this Thursday, if you can just email your council members that you support, and we want them hearing this all the time, because as you all know, they love to find little ways to back out of their promises and their promises of equity. And so that would be another way you can support. And then just want to, lift up everything Jamila said about ways to be engaged. And right now we're in this critical period, which I think you all are very familiar with, right? Of like, right now we're engaging city council members. They really need to know that their folks support this, and then we'll shift to get out the vote. So it's like, like eyes on the city council right now, and then everybody. But yeah, would love to maybe all go door knocking together this summer.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
As we all know, sometimes those conversations turn into 20 minutes. When you open up a conversation about how the city's spending their money, I've spent 20 minutes hanging out with people at their doors, talking about housing, talking about other issues. And so there's a lot of room for synergy. So thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you, Molly. And there was something that Emily said that I was also thinking about, is that we would love for you to be able to, we would love to be able to share with you what we're doing when we're having city council meetings, so that you can post it on your site and ask for people to join in. The synergy that I believe that we feel right now should be built upon. And we would love for you guys to be able to post the work that we're doing, because we believe that you can possibly, help us gain, volunteers and supporters in our campaign.
Oh, and the last thing, I don't remember, G, if you said this, but we are posted up at First Fridays, which are starting back up this Friday. We're right across from Legionnaire, 23rd and Telegraph. And so, we have a table. It's fun. It's one of the ways we do outreach. And if you want to swing through and just see what it's about, then it would be great to have you volunteer at Future First Fridays. But it's 5:30 to 7:30. Once it gets dark and people get drunk, it's not as effective. So
yeah, we do it early.
Yeah,
you're right about that, Molly. And all the volunteers get an Emerald New Deal T-shirt, and it's green and gold, just like the Oakland A's, man. So you can put your Oakland A's hat on with that shirt, and you'll look like you straight from Oakland.
I do really like your shirt. And we've also gathered signatures at First Friday and know the pain of talking to people after 7:30.
but people, I don't know, 40% of the time think that we're selling weed. So people come right up to us. We have a big
brilliant.
draws people in pretty quickly. And we've been meeting people who work in the industry, which has been helpful, since this kind of, in many ways, arbitrary roadblocks city council has put up, being you have to have the CRC's endorsement. And so, it's fun.
Join sometimes.
Yeah.
Can I say something to you guys about the CRC? And this is one of the reasons that we are so frustrated with the city council declaring that their endorsement is necessary in any kind of way. First of all, they're called a regulatory council, but they only have advisory powers. Advisory and regulatory are two different things. So And I think city council don't realize that yet. And the main thing is they care about lowering their taxes. They care about being robbed, but they don't care about the community. When we suggested that this was a way for you to actually show the community that you're on the same side, some of their answers were, well, if it doesn't lower the taxes, no, I'm not for it. And we have to realize that they are an invading corporate entity that is dominated the small industry, the illicit industry in Oakland, and now wants to eradicate them by not allowing them to participate. And so these are the principles that we're fighting against. There should be no corporate entities that come into a city and takes over the industry from the city. You know, I look at it as the same thing as gentrification, just in the business sector. And so we need as much support, people power, to fight this, because otherwise it will dominate, and we're going to end up being the losers, because they're going to be dictating to the city what the hell they want to do, just like the developers do right now. So
yeah,
I just wanted to say that.
yeah, and when also like the whole thing about the legalizing of the marijuana is that the promise that it will fix problems, it will help, you know, alleviates the harm and the problems that are happening in the communities, and that's not happening at all until now.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, we hear that the most, right? Like people's first reaction is that if they are a cannabis user, is that the tax is too high. And then once we say what we're trying to do, they're like, well, I'm happy to pay the tax if that's what it's doing. This is just common sense. And it should happen when we legalize weed. Like there's no excuse for why this didn't happen once we legalize weed. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to add that like, I think probably you guys have similar conversations with people where they're like, hell yeah, this is how we should do our budgeting. Like why, you know, like I'm paying these taxes, I elect these representatives, and then they do whatever the hell they want. And so
yeah, and there's some transparency, and also sorry, Molly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
why is this the way that it is? And so that's been one of like our big talking points too with people who, you know, sometimes when people don't use weed, they're like, I don't know if I want to get involved with this. And it's like, well, we're hoping to set a precedent that like people can be like, our voters can be empowered to say like, this is how you have to spend the money, right? So it's like baby steps towards the big conversation about the police, you know, like it makes sense to people when you talk to them.
Yeah, and especially this money, this particular money, not any other money, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't make sense that it goes into the general funds and just kind of dissolve there without any, you know, accountability or transparency.
Thank you.
Well, we are out of time, but thank you so much. This conversation was really exciting for me and enlightening. And yeah. I'm excited that we're actually we have next steps with each other. We're asking for each other's endorsements, and maybe we'll even co-host some outreach together. That doesn't come out of all of our events. So I'm excited that we have next steps together. But it was so nice to meet you. Thank you.
I'm here. Thank you all.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. And Tia, when we have upcoming events, do we send it to you, or is there another contact person that we would reach out to?
It would be this email. That email gets monitored by our members, and we would respond through there.
All right. We will definitely be doing that. And if you have an endorsement form, an official endorsement form that you actually use, please send it to us so that when we speak to our director and the rest of the team, we can have it.
Awesome. We definitely do. I'll send that to you.
Okay. And we'll send you our endorsement forms.
Great.
Thank you so much, everybody. And looking forward to the next time we meet and greet.
Yeah.
All right, AJ, I'll see you on Wednesday, I think.